The coffee hit my face before I even registered what was happening. Scalding liquid ran down my blouse and soaked the quarterly report printouts in front of me. The conference room fell into a stunned silence as 89 pairs of eyes stared at my dripping hair, reddened skin, and ruined presentation. You ruined everything, Vivica screamed, still gripping her empty mug so tightly her knuckles were white. Her flawless makeup couldn't mask the fury twisting her expression. Months of work destroyed because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. I stood frozen, coffee streaming down my neck as the shock numbed the sting. On the projection screen behind me, slide 23 still displayed the discrepancies I had pointed out, growth numbers that were mathematically impossible and unsupported by market trends or any strategy we had implemented. Someone gasped. Another whispered, "Did she just..." The quarterly all-hands meeting had been running smoothly until my segment. As senior market researcher, verifying trends before presenting to shareholders was part of my job. I had simply highlighted the statistical impossibility of our European division's reported results. Vivica's coffee attack wasn't just unprofessional, it was practically an admission of wrongdoing. My fingers trembled as I reached for a napkin, gently blotting my burning cheek while keeping my eyes on her. The room stayed silent except for the quiet drip of coffee onto the carpet. Finally, Merrick, our CEO, spoke. "Everyone take 15, he announced, voice tight. Viva, my office. As people awkwardly filed out, avoiding my gaze, I noticed something no one else seemed to. The small red light still blinking on the video conference camera. Our international offices were watching everything live because of time zone differences. The entire Asian division had just witnessed what happened to me in real time. I locked myself in the restroom, letting tears mix with the coffee stains as I evaluated the damage in the mirror. My skin was bright red, a blister beginning on my cheekbone. The silk top I'd bought last month was ruined, stained through with brown streaks. My phone buzzed repeatedly with messages from coworkers, but one text from Priya in IT froze me. "Got everything on video. Don't sign anything before talking to me." I had no idea then how important that message would be. Before I continue, thank you for listening. If what you're hearing sounds as unreal as it felt living it, please hit that like button. It helps more people discover this story. Subscribe if you want more workplace cases where accountability actually happens. And tell me in the comments if you've ever seen behavior in a workplace that crossed a line. My name is Annika, and before that coffee hit my skin, I had spent 4 years building my reputation at one of the fastest-growing market research firms in the country. I specialized in analyzing consumer behavior across international markets using data to forecast industry shifts. I wasn't someone who caused trouble. I was the one who stayed late, double-checking numbers, baked cookies for team meetings, and explained complex statistical models without making coworkers feel incompetent. Vivica joined the company 18 months earlier, recruited from a competitor to lead our European division. Her resume boasted impressive growth and massive client wins. Within 6 months, after a reorganization, she became my direct manager. That's when problems began. Slowly at first. She started excluding me from meetings where my team's data was presented. Then she began altering my reports before they reached senior executives. Small adjustments at first, minor percentage bumps that turned decent results into extraordinary ones. When I first noticed, I assumed they were accidental rounding differences. I approached her privately after a director's meeting. "I noticed the conversion numbers in the presentation don't match my original analysis," I said gently. "I want to ensure we're aligned on methodology." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Anuka, you're excellent with raw data, but presentations are about telling a story. Sometimes we simplify for the executive team. But changing 3% growth to 8% isn't simplifying," I replied. "It misrepresents the data." Her expression hardened. "Do you know how many jobs depend on investor confidence? Sometimes we need to show potential, not just current performance." That conversation bothered me for weeks as I watched more of my analyses change between submission and presentation. Each quarter, the gaps grew wider. Our European numbers defied logic and market conditions. I started documenting everything: my original reports, the altered versions, spreadsheets comparing discrepancies, timestamps of meetings where questions were avoided or access restricted. Meanwhile, Vivica's reputation soared. The board doubled the European expansion budget because of her remarkable performance. She won a leadership award at the annual retreat. Rumors spread that she was being considered for an executive level promotion. Then last month, I uncovered something far more serious. While working late, I accidentally accessed a shared drive I'd never seen. It held duplicate analytics dashboards, one with actual performance metrics and another with the inflated numbers shown to leadership. Both carried Vivica's digital signature. I forwarded myself key files before logging out, my heart racing. This wasn't just padding numbers. This was organized fraud. 3 days before the quarterly all hands, I requested a meeting with Vivica to discuss my presentation segment. These projections don't align with market realities or customer acquisition costs, I said, sliding my report across her desk. She barely looked at it. We've implemented strategies that explain the acceleration. Just present the approved slides. But these figures don't reflect actual performance, I insisted. She leaned forward. Your job is analysis, not questioning leadership. The board approved next year's budget using these projections. Do you understand what it would mean to challenge them now? The threat was obvious, and I understood exactly what was happening. I understood the deception could harm the entire company. I understood someone would eventually be blamed when the truth surfaced. And I knew whistleblowers rarely came out unscathed. What I didn't realize was how far Vivica would go to protect her fabricated success. The morning of the presentation, I made two decisions. I created slides comparing the reported figures with the actual data, and I placed a USB drive in my pocket containing all my documentation. When my turn came, I calmly presented the truth, side-by-side numbers, explained factually and professionally without accusations. And that's when Vivica's mug came flying at my face. Now in the bathroom, with burns forming on my skin, I faced a choice. Walk away quietly or stand my ground despite the risks. My phone buzzed again, this time a message from Merrick's assistant. HR meeting. Conference room B. 1 hour. As I applied burn ointment from the first aid kit, the door opened. Lainey from marketing stepped inside, eyes wide. Annika, that was unbelievable. Is there anything I can do? Did everyone see it? I asked. My voice shook. Everyone, she said. Tokyo, Singapore, Seoul. Everyone watching the live stream. She hesitated. There's something else. The stream didn't cut during the break. Vivica went straight to the server room and the international team saw everything. My heart skipped. What did she do? I don't know, Lainey whispered. But Priya has been trying to reach you. She says it's urgent. I called Priya immediately. She picked up on the first ring. Anika, do not go to that HR meeting alone. Vivica is claiming you sabotaged her by presenting unauthorized data. She's gathered 3 senior directors backing her story. But everyone saw what happened, I said. Listen carefully. She went into the server room and deleted files from your account using her override access. Likely your original reports. A cold heaviness settled in my stomach. Can you recover them? Maybe. But here's what matters. Our disaster recovery system backs up everything to the international servers every hour. When she tried to access those backups, it triggered alerts in Singapore. So my files still exist? Yes. And the live stream captured her entire server room visit. She was on the phone explaining what she was deleting and why. Singapore has the footage. I leaned against the sink, mind spinning. What should I do? Stall in the HR meeting. Don't sign anything. I'm working with legal to secure all evidence. I ended the call just as a message from Ellis in finance appeared. Those discrepancies you found? I've been tracking similar patterns. We need to talk. The discrepancies in European division metrics carried massive regulatory implications. I finally returned to my apartment at 2 a.m., physically and emotionally drained. Unlocking the door, I noticed small signs that someone had been inside. A book moved, a drawer ajar. My heart raced. I called building security. No maintenance visits were scheduled. The guard found nothing missing, but noted my laptop had been opened. Change all your passwords, he advised. Maybe stay somewhere else tonight. Too exhausted to leave, I double-locked the door and wedged a chair against it. Sleep came fitfully, interrupted by nightmares of coffee burns and deleted files. I woke to 37 missed calls from colleagues, reporters, and unknown numbers. Overnight, the story had leaked to financial news sites, and our stock had dropped 18% in pre-market trading. The headline chilled me. Market research firm under investigation after senior executive accused of falsifying European growth data. Another message arrived as I read it. You destroyed everything. Hope you're ready for what comes next. At the office, security escorted me to the executive floor, not as a suspect, but as a protected asset. The atmosphere was chaotic, with lawyers and crisis teams scattered everywhere. Merrick met me in his office, visibly exhausted. The board meets with major investors today. We need you to present the actual numbers and explain how you uncovered the discrepancies. Me? Shouldn't a more senior person handle this? They need it from the person who discovered it, he replied. Credibility is all we have left. As I prepared, Ellis appeared at my temporary office door. You should know Vivica isn't going quietly. She's telling anyone who will listen that you manipulated the data after she rejected your promotion request. I laughed bitterly. Ridiculous. Everything is time-stamped and documented. I know, he said, but hesitated. She has allies. 3 directors are backing her story, and someone leaked your personnel file to a reporter, highlighting that you were passed over for promotions twice before Vivica arrived. I felt sick. They were painting me as a disgruntled employee. Exactly. And there's more. Building security reported someone tried entering your apartment again this morning while you were here. This is no longer just about your professional reputation. It's personal and dangerous. Later, walking to the boardroom with my authenticated reports, Priya intercepted me. Wait, she whispered. Before you go in, see this. She showed an email chain on her tablet between Vivica and Carson Hayes at a competing firm. The messages revealed not only data manipulation, but a plan to inflate European numbers, secure massive investment, then leave before the scheme collapsed. The final line made my hands shake. Once we control the narrative, we can discredit anyone who questions the numbers. If necessary, we'll make examples of them. I looked up. She had planned this from the beginning. Priya nodded. And she's not finished. Security reports she accessed the building using another employee's credentials an hour ago. No one can locate her. As I processed this, the boardroom door opened. All eyes, directors, investors, lawyers, forensic accountants were on me. I stepped forward, heart pounding, clutching the files that would determine my future and potentially the company's survival. 14 pairs of eyes tracked me around the massive oval table. Merrick nodded toward an empty seat. Annika, thank you for joining us. Given the circumstances, the board requests you present the actual European division performance metrics. I connected my drive to the system, fingertips still stinging from the burns. The first slide displayed a straightforward comparison of reported growth versus actual performance over 18 months. As you can see, I began, my voice steadier than expected, the discrepancies started small, but grew dramatically after the second quarter. For 20 minutes, I walked them through my evidence, explaining methodology and verification. I showed how actual customer acquisition costs were 3 times higher than reported, retention rates were inflated, and profit margins were negative rather than the 18% claimed. Board Chairman Reed removed his glasses. So, you're saying the European division lost nearly $17 million while reporting $23 million in profit? That's correct. The supporting data is consistent across multiple verification methods, I replied. A woman I recognized as a major institutional investor leaned forward. When did you notice these discrepancies, and why weren't they reported sooner? I felt the trap. I began documenting inconsistencies 9 months ago. I raised concerns with my direct manager, Vivica, and then with finance oversight. I was told the differences reflected advanced modeling and strategic presentation of potential rather than current metrics. Ellis added, finance received similar explanations. Vivica cultivated relationships with directors who validated her approach. 3 directors shifted uncomfortably. Reed's expression hardened. The coffee incident followed your contradictory presentation? Yes. I simply showed both sets of numbers side by side during my segment. And now Vivica claims you manipulated data to frame her, the investor pressed. Your response? I met her gaze directly. Every analysis I've presented includes verified raw data with timestamps. Independent forensic accountants confirmed my findings. The live stream captured Vivica attempting to delete evidence immediately after the incident. Murmurs rippled through the room. I continued. This morning, investigation revealed communication between Vivica and Carson Hayes at Velocue Analytics, detailing their plan to inflate numbers, secure investment, then exit before discovery. Gasps followed. Those communications haven't been authenticated, the general counsel cautioned. They are being verified, Priya interjected. Security also reports Vivica is in the building using borrowed credentials, with multiple cameras disabled. Reed stood. Suspend this meeting. Security protocols in effect. As everyone gathered their materials, my phone buzzed. Check storage room 3E. Come alone if you want to protect your reputation. I knew I shouldn't go alone, but the message implied leverage I couldn't ignore. Slipping away, I climbed to the third floor to the rarely used storage area. Room 3E was deserted, door slightly ajar. Inside, Vivica sat calmly by a small table, immaculate despite being a fugitive. Close the door, Annika. Gat, she said pleasantly. Against my instincts, I stepped in, leaving it slightly open. Security is looking for you. I know. Not much time, she replied, gesturing to a chair. You created quite the spectacle. The board seems impressed with your detective work. This isn't about impressing anyone. You committed fraud, putting the company at risk. Such righteousness. Tell me, what happens to the European offices when investors pull out? Consider the collateral damage of your crusade. You created that risk, not me, I said. I accelerated growth projections to secure the funding we needed. Without it, European expansion would have stalled completely. You fabricated results and misled investors, I countered. I created opportunity. The company was stagnating before I arrived. My methods brought in $40 million in new capital based on lies. Her expression hardened slightly. She slid a folder across the table, printouts of private messages between me and a former colleague at a competitor, discussing general company strategy. Taken out of context, they looked incriminating. This is manipulation, I whispered. This is survival, she said. You destroyed 18 months of my work. Did you expect no response? What do you want? I asked. Joint statement acknowledging misunderstanding, retract claims of manipulation. We both resign. The company avoids scandal. That's not going to happen. Her smile tightened. Then I release these communications to the board, claiming you altered data to frame me. 3 directors support me. Your credibility, career, everything. Gone. I noticed her open laptop, the draft of an email to all clients, labeled confidential strategy. Her plan wasn't just to discredit me. It was scorched earth. You'd destroy the company, I whispered. I prefer to leave nothing for those who betrayed me. Your choice. The storage room door swung open. Ellis stood with Priya and 2 security officers. We heard everything, Ellis said quietly. Vivica lunged for her laptop, but Priya was faster, pulling it away before she could send the email. You recorded this without consent? Vivica sputtered. No need, Priya replied. The board has been monitoring this entire conversation via video. After your first threat to Annika, emergency protocols were activated, including remote access to your devices. Vivica's face contorted with rage as security escorted her away. Back in the boardroom, Reed's expression was grim. The forensic team had verified the emails with Carson Hayes, confirming industrial espionage. 3 directors resigned rather than face investigation. By evening, Vivica was formally terminated, escorted off the premises, with legal proceedings pending. I sat alone in my office afterward, drained physically and emotionally. Merrick knocked on the door. The board would like to see you, he said, expression unreadable. Expecting more questions, or even lingering suspicion, I returned to the boardroom. Remaining board members and investors were joined by several senior managers. Reed spoke first. Annika, your actions exposed serious wrongdoing that could have destroyed the company. Your thoroughness and integrity are exactly what we need during recovery. I nodded cautiously, unsure what was next. We'd like to offer you the role of interim European operations director while we restructure. It comes with a significant salary increase and team authority. You'll work directly with forensic accountants to rebuild accurate reporting systems. I was stunned. I'm not sure I'm qualified. You are precisely qualified, interrupted the institutional investor. You understood the numbers when others accepted convenient fictions. You maintained integrity under pressure and prioritized truth over personal advancement. The European offices need honest leadership now more than ever. 2 weeks later, I addressed those European teams via video conference, delivering candid assessments of our position. Contrary to Vivica's predictions, most employees expressed relief at finally having realistic expectations. No more impossible targets based on fabricated figures. I promised transparency and committed to rebuilding trust. Recovery was neither fast nor easy. Our stock initially took a significant hit when the true financial position was disclosed. Two major investors withdrew, though the institutional investor who had questioned me doubled her stake, praising our approach as a model of responsible corporate recovery. 3 months after the coffee incident, I reviewed the first, fully verified quarterly results from my new office. The numbers were modest. European operations remained in the red, but the reports were honest, showing realistic trajectories for improvement. A news alert appeared on my phone. Vivica had pleaded guilty to securities fraud and industrial espionage. Her plea included cooperation against Carson Hayes and Velocu Analytics, revealing a broader scheme affecting multiple competitors. I closed the alert to see an email from Reed, The Real Revenge. Inside was a link to an industry publication featuring our company as a case study in corporate resilience and ethical recovery. The article highlighted how transparent reporting restored investor trust despite short-term losses. The final paragraph quoted an unnamed board member. Our recovery strategy was simple, the opposite of what created the crisis. Where there was deception, we chose transparency. Where there were shortcuts, we embraced proper processes. Where leadership demanded blind loyalty, we now reward principled objection. Attached was a note from Reed. This is worth more than $40 million in fraudulent growth. This is sustainable business built on integrity. This is the real revenge against those who sacrifice our future for short-term gain. I smiled, realizing he was right. My revenge wasn't Vivica's downfall or taking her position. The real victory was rebuilding everything she tried to destroy. Stronger, more transparent, and ethically sound. That evening, preparing to visit our Berlin office, I found a small package on my desk, a ceramic travel mug with a note from the team, honoring the woman who showed that honesty outshines ambition. Some might say the greatest revenge is success, but I learned something more powerful. The greatest revenge is becoming the leader you needed when you were vulnerable. Today, I mentor team members to speak up when numbers don't add up. Every strategy meeting begins with truth, not convenience. If you've stayed with my story, maybe you face a workplace challenge, someone taking credit, hiding problems, or punishing honesty. Remember, integrity may burn slowly, but truth eventually boils over. If my story resonated, subscribe for more workplace insights. I share leadership lessons monthly. Leave a comment about how you've handled difficult situations. Your experience could help someone facing the same challenges. The burn scars on my cheek have faded, but the lessons remain. Sometimes the most painful moments lead to our greatest transformations.